Hello, my name is Michael Evans, and thank you for joining me for What Mike Painted. So this week I never had a, this past weekend I didn't have a chance to do a lot of painting, unfortunately, but I did get a little bit painted. So I painted these little guys from Temple Run. These ones, I used the Citadel paint and primed them with Citadel Prime, Citadel Black Prime. So I got the minis from Temple Chase all primed up with the Citadel primer, the black Citadel black primer. I don't know if you can see, but actually the details really do show up really well through the black priming. Much better than I thought they would, mainly because I think the detail is really hard to see on the video. In the videos I've seen, the white details show up a lot better, at least on camera. Although I do like the white primer better because you do see I do find you see the details a lot easier with the white, but you can see them pretty well with the black, much better than I was expecting. And I am not a fan of Citadel paints. Now, I know there are people who swear by Citadel paints, who say that they won't use anything else but Citadel paints, and those people are what I like to call competent. I am not. I find Citadel paints very hard to work with. I find, like I say, it was really thick and really hard to spread, I find. I have a hard time watering them down. They're not bad. They're awesome paint quality paints. They're awesome quality paints. But they're hard for me to use. I find them hard for me to use. And now I have them on little plastic shot glasses with sticky tack on the bottom to hold them on there to make it easier to paint. It's the first time I tried that. Usually I've been holding on to the miniatures as I've been painting them, and yeah, it's not a great idea. So if you get something like this, although I suggest putting more sticky tack on it because it will wobble, or well, the base doesn't move that much. I suppose these ones is just because it's cheap rubber almost rather than plastic. So like I say, these are the first ones I tried it with. And I like to paint more than one figure at a time because I'm impatient. So while I'm waiting for one figure to dry, I move on to details from the other, and then I go like back and forth in between amongst several of them. So, and they got a package of like 20 shot glasses for like $1.25 or $1.25. And so I use one shot glass for the water to rinse my brushes, and the rest I can use to paint with. So this guy reminds me of a young Arnold. This guy running, he reminds me of young Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I'll call this little running man Arnold. If you get the joke, you're awesome. But yeah, these guys were prime black, and oh, did I miss? No. And I'm going to tell you something. I prefer priming white because I can see the details better in white rather than black. And my eyesight is not nearly as good as I thought it was. I found out since I started painting, and my depth perception is not nearly as good as I thought it was when I started painting. So I learned that these two things really are a hindrance for me. But I'm getting better at overcoming that with time. So I prefer to paint white. Now there are a lot of people who swear by painting by priming it in black. These people are what I like to call competent. They know what they're doing. I don't, so I find white easier. So I find if you're beginning, I find white is easier, but the color comes out really nice. Now these ones I primed white like normal, and I used a good paint except for the yellow, but these are all Citadel or Army paints. Same with these guys. These are all except for the orange and the yellow, because I didn't have so the orange and the yellow are cheap ones. I do not like the Citadel silver as much as I like the Army paint silver. but it's not bad. This one, it was a Citadel one. I don't know what color it's supposed to be. But this one was actual, is it Army Paint or the Reaper brand stone one. It turned out pretty nice, I thought. Now, I used Army Paint Barbarian Flesh to paint them. And I used the same thing on these. Now, normally I mix it. Now, I didn't mix it with this time, but I found on the on the black prime ones, even though it took like 3 or 4 coats because it's painting light on dark, it turned out really nice. Now with these guys, painting on white, when you're just doing the base color, came out really orange, I find. However, this one, I mixed brown in with it, and it came out to a nice color. So, that means that what I might do is, I got a few more. So what I might do is try painting the skin black, and then the skin tone over top of it, the barbarian flesh over top of it. See how that works out. But like I say, I didn't have a lot of time to paint this week, unfortunately. So, and these are just base paints. They're nothing special, no wash or anything. I may or may not. I don't think these guys, I'm not going to worry too much about doing any wash or anything, because for what the game is, it's just a simple little press your luck race game. And another thing that I find about Citadels is the Citadel paints, it goes on weird, like it looks like it's much lighter than it actually is, so you can barely see it, and then you're freaking out. But when it dries, you can't tell where you can almost hard to tell, especially when you're painting over black. It's hard to tell where it's been, so you're freaking out. Did I paint that or not? But when it dries really well. It looks really good once it dries. So like I say, I can understand why people like Citadel paint if you know what you're doing. It's one of those things where, as a beginner, I'm not a huge fan of Citadel paint. I probably won't use Citadel paints once what I have is used up, even though it looks really nice, except for the silver. The silver looks kind of, I don't know, too brush strokey. You can really see the brush strokes in it. I find that the Army Paint ones, Army Paint gunmetal at least, it's one I use for most of my medals and silver and stuff like that, does not show the paint strokes as much. So I'm definitely gonna stick to that. And but like I say, that's the gold. Now the Citadel paints I have are pre-mixed. Oh geez, I don't know how to screw that up. The Citadel paints I have they're pre-watered down because it's a starter set. But even that, like I say, there's not a lot of water to it, so it comes out really thick. And unfortunately, the gold was like there was no water in it. There was nothing in it. It was just a mass. So I put some water in it, trying to water it down some. Unfortunately, I put too much in. And honestly, it's all right. But it looks more yellow than gold. I think I'm going to go with I got this cheap stuff at Dollarama, local dollar store. This stuff, spun gold. Now it takes like 2, maybe 3 coats, but it looks really good. So I think for gold, stuff like that, I'm going to stick with that. I might start working with better paints. I'm going to use the cheap paints too. Just sort of like, if it's something I'm going to kick around trying to see what's going on with it. I'm going to stick with the cheap paints because I have a ton of it. So, but I think I'm going to start moving into better paints slowly. But I'm probably going to go with like Army ones, the Reaper brand ones. Those are the ones I can get locally easily. But yeah, that's what I've painted this week. Next week I'll hopefully have a lot more. It's washed. I'm going to hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to prime. Tomorrow being the Friday, the day I release this.
hopefully I'll be able to. I got a bunch of little army men type things. Not exactly army men, but little monster things that I'm gonna hopefully get primed up and start painting. I'm gonna do a bit more practice with washes and stuff like that. I got some more stuff to help make washes. I got some matte medium, and I'm gonna pick up some flow aid. I'm gonna try to mix up some of the good stuff that they suggested doing. I'm gonna try that for washes. Try different colors for washes, see what happens. I'm doing these ones up because I figure if I can get them painted up, I can probably give them to Richard Hovey, and he can probably use them for his tour game or one of his one of his various role playing games. Or I can just play with them myself, whatever. But that's all I really have to say. Thank you for joining me again. This has been What Mike Painted. I didn't get a lot painted. Hopefully I'll have more done. Hopefully this is encouraging you to go out and paint your own. Because I mean, can't really do much worse than me. But thank you for watching. Have a good evening.